Today we're talking about the opportunity, skills and how people in Newport can build brighter futures. With me, James and Ben from Itec. So hi guys, hope you're both alright. We'll start with Ben. Ben, how did you get involved in this?
I've had experience in helping young people over the years, especially young people that haven't necessarily fit mainstream education. And just got sort of a passion really for helping young people sort of find their niche and find where they fit.
Yeah, big thing that we want to talk about today, because I was kind of the weird kid in school in terms that I knew what I wanted to do and everybody else wasn't like me, so that's really keen. So I want to talk about that. James, what about yourself? How did you get involved with Itec?
Well, I've been with the company for around about 2.5 years now, and it's the way I got involved is I was working for a different training provider. Really wanted to concentrate on the employability side of things. Previously, I was working as the tutor, everything that you would do in a centre. But yeah, got in contact with Itec, got a job there, and I've been covering all areas ever since.
Yeah. I've met you both, Ben, very briefly, James before, and you both seem very happy chappies in the work that you do, so that's good news. Tell me about Itec. How did it all come about, and especially the Newport version of it?
Yeah, I mean, Itec has been going for quite a long time. I mean, James will probably tell you a little bit more about it, but in terms of the Newport branch, that's been there for I don't know how many years, James.
Forever. Yeah. Literally forever.
Since day one. Yeah. Dinosaurs first went there for education and training.
It's one of the branches that we actually own, so we own the building itself. So it is the original in terms of Itec and the structure that we've built on. But yeah, it's the original place for ourselves.
Brilliant stuff. So what does Itec do in this modern age?
We deliver a Jobs Growth Wales programme. So 16 to 19 is the bracket that we work with in terms of the age group, and it's basically a training provider for young people that are looking for something alternative. So we get a lot of young people that will kind of leave school and not necessarily have an idea of what they want to do. They might have wanted to go to college but might not have the qualifications to get in. So it's a really good option for a lot of young people from that perspective. And so we help young people and guide them in a way that gives them the opportunity to develop and grow.
So just make sure I got this right then. So they're going to do their GCSEs. At that point, then I guess there's a couple of options open for them: into college, into work, and then or into Itec, I guess, as another option.
Yeah. So in terms of what we can offer, it definitely works for some young people, especially with the relationships that we've built with employers. So to learn alongside their training and get the opportunity to try out placements is something that really really works for a lot of young people.
So putting ourselves in their position then for a second, 16 GCSEs, not GCSEs, they turn up at Itec, or how do they get in touch with Itec in the first place? Do they get referred?
So we get young people that come via Careers Wales, but we also get young people directly referred. So we built networks with schools, head of year 11 or any pastoral workers that work within the school, but we also work with the local authorities as well. So especially sort of Newport, Torvine, Monmouthshire area that I'm kind of currently working with. So yeah, it's about sort of for us building those networks and making sure that the young people know that there's an option there for them. It's not just a case of haven't got the GCSEs and then literally there's a cliff edge, so there's always an option for them to explore.
Because at that point, you find that they're in two minds. Either one, they've not done as well at GCSEs as they could have done, and there's a fear there, or do you actually get any students that come along that have almost lost faith in it?
Defo, yeah. And I think not knowing what they want to do is quite common. They so they just need ideas and they need a way of exploring those those possibilities. And so having links with employers is a really good way of them trying out placements, which is something that James explores quite often. Built really good networks with employers locally, so that's really important for the young people so that they know they can get to the placements. The transport is not going to be a barrier for them.
And the thing for us, Jobs Growth Wales Plus is open to anyone, so you could be 16 to 19 as long as you're not in education, employment or training, you can come on board. So the caliber of learner that we do work with can scale from someone who's entry one in their ability, so they're not able to read or write, for example, or you could go all the way up to someone who has just achieved their A-levels. They don't know what they want to do, but they just want to be out on a work placement, gaining the skills and the experience. So it's a very varied program, and the way we structure it and our support for each individual, that's what Jobs Growth Wales is all about. It's all about the individual.
And in that situation, you've got somebody that's come along and they, again, education-wise might have missed out a little bit. What can you do? What can you say? What makes the big difference in them going, oh, right, okay, this Itec thing looks really, really good. I guess we'll talk about the jobs available in a minute, but just in that moment, how do you take them from that situation and almost pop some confidence back in them? Is that kind of part of what you do?
Yes, a lot of, like myself, for example, it's lived experience. So I've came through a traineeship program. That's where it used to be called, is traineeships. So I came through a traineeship program myself when I was 16. So it's sort of whatever was passed down to me during my time, I'm then able to pass on. And like I've said, I've been around for 5-6 years now in this sort of industry. So it's all about breaking down barriers on the initial meeting. That's where obviously Ben comes in as youth engagement officer.
And it's also showing that young people that it's possible. So we've got members of staff that have come through the program and have sort of come through the other side and are now working for Itec. So it shows that you can kind of really build your confidence and then actually come through and be employed by the company. And it's not just something that you do and then not come out with anything.
So let's spend a little bit of time talking about the placements that are available. What could you potentially offer young people to do?
So you can go all the way. We can pretty much offer anything. Like yourself, you're willing to take a work placement for yourself. If they can come down and be part of Newport City Radio, they can. But like recently, I've only taken over this centre for around about the last month or two. But I've been able to open a bunch of vacancies, working with the owners of Newport Arcade, the owners of the Kingsway, for example. I've opened up work placements in the likes of Little Kingdom, which is just up there, Queens. You've got Utopia. We cover all vocations, so that could be your customer service, your retail skills, warehousing, mechanics, construction. We do it all. We might not offer a qualification in that route, but we definitely work with local employers to sort of transition you into that structure.
And that's kind of how we come across you, wasn't it? So I know I've always been aware of Itec, and I walk past him almost every single morning on the way to do the breakfast show. But James, you've been really proactive in going out to these businesses. And I think at the moment it's almost like manna from heaven, isn't it? We're in that kind of cycle where I don't think we're feeling that we got a lot of money in our pockets, if I'm honest. But there certainly seems to be a lot more businesses and small businesses opening up. That's got to be great for you, isn't it?
Oh, 110%. The more businesses that reach out, the more people we can help. And I think that's where it boils down to. Like yourself reaching out and being on board with the scheme, that really does help us as a training provider. Because without you guys, we're just an education provider. We can't offer them progression routes into employment,
It's difficult because, with us literally knocking on an open door, which I think is what you did about sort of like 4 weeks ago. But with us, this is what we're here to do. We're a voluntary organisation. We're quite adept and quite aware of the value of volunteers and having people that are really need a bit of support but need that opportunity. Is that difficult to sell to a more business type of organisation?
So it's the case of breaking down, just like we break down barriers with learners, it's breaking down barriers with employers. A lot of them may have been burnt in the past when it comes to traineeship programs, because of a lot of the long-term employers have been through it all before. Like I say to every single employer, we can't guarantee you someone that's going to be brilliant, but what we can guarantee you someone is who's willing. And you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And that's where it's all about being an employer and being a placement opportunity for them young people.
And the program that we offer is it's really important to prepare that young person and make them ready to go out into placement. And I think that's what employers realise, that they're not just get a young person to come and do work experience cold. They've had a lot of input from Itec and they're ready to go into that work placement.
Because could it work that someone could walk through the doors of Itec and be referred and be almost ready to go into placement straight away, but there are going to be others which you can need to do a bit of work with and support with just to get them to understand how the world of work works? Too many works in that sentence, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, so when they do come on program with us, there are certain aspects that they do need to achieve. So we'll always do something called employability skills with them, and that will prepare them for the workplace. A lot of employers will also refer young people to us that they may have sourced themselves. And at that point, they are work ready because they've gone out their way, they found that placement themselves. So we can just put them straight out. But a lot of learners will come through your local provisions like Careers Wales, come on program with us. They'll learn a bit of employability skills. They'll do something called ESW if they've not achieved the grades that they want to do in school. Which is
just go through ESW for me.
It's a GCSE alternative, so it's essential skills. So we can upskill them to level 2, which is the equivalent to an A to C at GCSE anyway. A lot of people might not want to go on to a work placement, but what they do need is an A to C at GCSE to then progress on to college.
Yeah, it's so critical, isn't it? And it's nice to have that other route there as well. I hope you're teaching the guys how to make a really decent tea and coffee, because that's essentially how Newport City Radio operates.
That's the main thing.
First words to you two. Do you want a cup of tea?
Do you put the milk in before you take the tea bag out, though?
In coffee, you put the milk in with the coffee. It's granulated, not your expensive stuff. We're talking your normal coffee. You put the coffee in, then the milk in, then the sugar in if you take it, and you mix it all up, and then you add the hot water onto it. Tea's a different beast, guys. You got to put the tea bag in, then the hot water. You leave it stew for just a minute or two, give it a little stir, and then you can add whatever you need into it. That's just my view on it.
A man of culture.
I haven't got a strong opinion on this. Yes, but there you go.
Very specific, though. Yeah,
I wouldn't expect any learner to know that and do that. Philip, who's our program director, is very insistent on how he likes his tea and coffee. I'm pretty cool. I'm just, if it's hot, wet, and sweet, then I'm happy with it. That's the way it goes.
Tea making, that's a part of our curriculum, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be an essential part of the curriculum. You missed the essential edge of it.
Of course.
So let's talk about the gap between sort of like the need of the learners and the demands and the skills that are out there at the moment. How's that looking at the moment? So are you finding that you've got too many learners, not enough employers, or too many employers, not enough learners?
Realistically, I'd say it depends on the vocation, because we offer such a wide range for the learners. Like, I could have a learner come in and say they want to be on the radio. That's why I reached out yourselves, Or I could have a learner that comes in and says they want to do beauty, but only specifically beauty. They don't want to do hair. They just want to do beauty. And at that point, it's finding the vocation or the employer that caters directly to that. I've always got enough retail and shops and stuff like that. It's the specific ones that are always a problem. But we can never have enough employers, regardless of the vocation, because the more people that are involved, the more awareness there is, the more learners we'll get, and the more people we can help. I think that's the main thing.
So from the learners, are there big vocations at the moment? Because it goes through phases and trends, doesn't it? Like anything, like I know growing up there's always too many shoe shops in Newport, and there's too many charity shops. Now there's too many vape shops. Shops, what more do you want? What are the learners seeking to do in the main? Is there anything that goes, right, there's another person that wants to do brickwork, for example?
Well, you wouldn't believe it. It goes on area, in my own opinion. Like we've got 13 centres across South East Wales, so you're you're going all the way from Abertillery all the way down to Swansea at this point. As you can tell by the accent, I'm not from Newport. I'm from Pontypridd area. So up by me, there's a lot of people that want to do construction. Whereas down in Newport, there's a lot of people that want to do beauty. You go up to Cwmbran, there's a lot of people that want to do beauty. It all depends on the area.
Don't know whether I need more beauty product, less beauty product, but there you go. I'm going to leave that in the eyes of the listener. So what support do they need? So what are the barriers that could stop them from achieving what you would like them to achieve?
Quite often we get young people with barriers that they've kind of brought with them from being in school, so that could be like anxiety, maybe not engaging with education. We have learning needs as well, some young people that we cater for. The important thing is working with them as individuals and bringing them on at a pace that they're comfortable with. So we don't say to young people, you start in September and you finish in July. It's a roll-on, roll-off program. So they can start at any time. And if they started on the engagement strand and then they do a few months on that, they can gain their ESW, they can work on their employability skills, and then they might be ready then to go on to advancement. So then they're looking at a placement then, and it's just kind of working with them, So anxiety, we find, is a big thing, with young people, and so it's kind of giving them the confidence to show that they can do this and they can make the steps and progress in a way that they're sort of comfortable with.
The thing with Itec is it's all about building that support system around someone. Everyone has a designated role, so we'll have a learning support coordinator, someone who reviews them every 6 weeks. They'll have a sit-down conversation, go through what's on their mind, what's their problem, is there anything that we can do to accommodate, is there anything we can do to alleviate that stress. You'll have your learner coach, someone who checks in with them every single day. They're in charge of their well-being. You'll have myself, if you're on a work placement, that's someone who covers you constantly alongside the learner coach. So it's just creating a big bubble and a support network to help alleviate the stresses of coming out of mainstream education and then coming into a training provider. We're just breaking down barriers. Like for me, confidence is a major one, self-esteem, all them sort of stuff. So working on soft skills in centre with their tutors, that's a main thing for me.
And just to make sure that I'm not missing something with this one, so when you've got a learner that says, okay, right, I really, really want to work within the childcare environment, you've got something like Little Kingdom in the Kingsway Centre, and they do 6-7 weeks of that and think, actually, this is not what I thought it was. Could they move to do something like Delicious Delights or Queen's Beauty or something like that? Are you able to change track?
Yeah, definitely. I think for us, it's about kind of working with them. They come back into centre and they get the support. So it's kind of having that feedback from them to say, you've tried it, that's fine. It didn't work out for you. It wasn't what you expected. But then we go again and we look at other placements, and then look at something that's maybe better suited to them. And it's a conversation, like James said, we review every 6 weeks to see what's working, and then put plans in place to kind of get them back on track.
No, that sounds amazing. We spent a lot of time on learners. I do want to come back to learners with a couple of case studies in a second. Let me flip the coin to the employer then. Again, for some employers, it's going to be a very, very new thing and something that they might be a bit nervous on. What can you guys do to support the employer?
So it's in terms of the employer, the program itself is 6 to 9 months is where I'll say it's 30 hours a week. And then alongside that, you get a one-to-one support or a point of contact, which would be myself. So in terms of supporting the employer, it's just having that point of contact for them to reach out at any moment. They're not exactly signing up to have that learner for an extended period of time. At any point, we could pull that learner from the placement if he or she is not getting on. So
employee supported, learner supported. Let's talk about case studies then. Have you met anybody that you just walked away from this thinking, that is a job well done?
I'll give an example. Up my way in Pontypridd, I came from last Thursday, for example. I just wrote up a case study on a learner. She tried 4 different vocations. So you're talking your beauty, your childcare, mentoring, even in our centre. Sometimes you have a work placement in our centre as well. That's someone who stood out, gone above, and we'll use them as a mentor for young people then as well. But she tried them all, and I ended up placing her in a dog food specialist shop. Customer service, I always said to her she'd be fantastic in customer service. She went out, absolutely smashed it. I think she was on the work placement for around about 2 to 3 months. Got on really well. And then at the age of 20, they age out. So we don't obtain any funding for them. So she was reaching that by, and I reached out to the employer and I said, hey, look, she's going really well with yourselves. How about engaging with our apprenticeship team? Because we've also got an apprenticeship team as well. Brilliant, James. Sounds fantastic. Got him in contact. She's now on a level 2 customer service apprenticeship. So I know that's someone that has tried 4 different vocations. They've tried their hand at absolutely everything, doesn't know where to go. But because of the support that we were able to put in place and the confidence that we were able to instill, she kept going, and now she's got herself a level 2 apprenticeship.
And that's it, isn't it? What's lovely here in that story is it's ended at a certain age, but you guys been able to bridge it until they can actually get into that full-time work, which is just fantastic.
And not giving up on her, that's the important thing, isn't it? Making sure that you stick with it and keep a confidence high and keep trying.
So we're talking about barriers about getting into work, and certainly what we find in Newport City Radio when some of our volunteers come here, travel expenditure is a bit of a problem. Can you guys help with things like that?
We provide a training allowance. That's £60 per week for their engagement on programme and on the placement itself. We do £3.90 a day for food allowance, so we're breaking down the barrier of that, and all travel to and from the work placement or our centre is all paid for as well to the young person. In terms of progression for the placement, say they've been on placement with yourselves 6 to 9 months, we can also break down barriers that way. Like I said, we got an apprenticeship team. That's a possible progression route. We've also got something called the employment strand. So we can subsidise the wages at 50% of national minimum wage for the first 6 months of their employment with yourselves as well. Like I said, Itec and Jobs Growth Wales, it's all about breaking down barriers, not only for the learner, but for the employer as well.
So we're talking about young people, and there's just lots of different noises around them at the moment, isn't it? So what can you do to help with their well-being? Because that's a big thing that we need to work on, isn't it?
So part of the engagement strand, young people attend centre usually from Monday to Thursday and 9 till 4. But as part of the programme, we support young people and their well-being. So quite often in centre we'll have a wellbeing session planned, so we often book in like activities or speakers, and sometimes do activities outside the centre. So recently in Cwmbran we had Animal Interactive come in and do a session with our young people, which went down really well. So we had a tortoise sort of just wandering around on the floor, and then young people with petting rats and snakes, and they had meerkats and all kinds of things. So really good for young people to kind of get engaged with, and everyone gets involved, which is great. And to be able to sort of support young people from a well-being perspective, I think is really important as part of the programme at Itec.
What we've also had as well, more vocational-led sort of wellbeing days. So I've worked with a local employer in my region, and we sort of paid for these young people to go out and work in a restaurant with the chef, do a 3-course meal for themselves, sit down, have it, factor in some of these people. This might be the only big fancy meal that they'll ever have all year. There's a range of learners that you need to factor in, and well-being for us is a major thing. So we also use a system called Red Dot 365. So along with their review, they're also reviewed on their well-being. So that it's a tier list, and they tier how they're feeling related to specific topics within their life. And it just gives us a more comprehensive way of tracking how they are and putting things in place to accommodate.
Because that's going to really, really support the learning, then, isn't it? Which is, just a great thing to have. So yeah, really good to see you guys that focus on the well-being side of things. So I'm guessing you guys could do with a bit of support in both ways. So I guess that there's a lot of signposting towards you for the learners. I'm guessing that might not be the case for employers. So talk to me about what Itec in Newport needs right now.
Just local employers to reach out that are willing to support and mentor a young person into becoming not even an employee. At the end of it, you're just passing on the skills and experience required. You don't have to take them on at the end, but you've still instilled a good sense of work ethic in that young person. So what we need as a company is just local employers that want to progress young people and be there as sort of like a flagship for us,
On my side, I'm working with local authorities and schools to make sure that the young people that are not in education, training or employment that have a place. So I'm currently working closely with Nat Criddle, who's part of the Newport Council, to make sure that every young person come October 31st has a place. So that's really important. So we're doing things like knocking doors. We're working together with other providers to make sure that every young person has a place. So if you know someone that hasn't got hasn't got a college place or hasn't found employment, then get in contact with us. We've got a website you can use, itecskills.ac.uk, I believe is the website. Yeah, and you can come down, book an appointment. You can have a look around the centre. You can have a chat about the programme, and feel free, to reach out to us.
It's amazing when you do a podcast, the things that for definite. It's kind of slip your brain for a minute. You're absolutely spot on. Yeah, the website address that I've got anyway is itecskills.ac.uk, which is spot on. There you go. You're saying really nervous. Don't be nervous. You're fine. You got this, Ben. You're on it. In terms of employers, James, how can they get hold of you?
So they can reach out to me via email, or they can contact our head office. So my email is j.loveridge, LOVERIDGE, at itec skills.co.uk. Just ping me across an email and I'll pick it up. Get in contact with yourselves, and then all I have to do to set you up as a work placement, ideally you need employers and public liability insurance, and then I'd come out and do something called a health and safety appraisal. So that's just making sure it's a safe environment for that young person to go into before obviously placing them with yourselves.
Brilliant stuff. If we ever do a love hour on Newport City Radio, James Loveridge is a great DJ name. I just thought I'd just throw it in there, Guys, thank you very much for coming in to see us. I think we've got a couple of Itec students drilling next door and helping them build whatever next door is going to be to Newport City Radio. But thank you for your time this afternoon. Really interesting to hear about this. And again, it's just what a great opportunity to have on our doorstep, isn't it? Literally.
Nice one. Yeah, thanks very much.
Okay, guys, thanks for coming in. We'll catch you again soon.